Hey there, folks. Chris here from Heyo, and welcome to today's webinar called The Social Campaign Strategy, a three-step system to go from engagement to sales. I want to thank everyone who's joined us for today's webinar. I really appreciate you taking an hour out of your day to spend that time with us. And the pressure is on for me to deliver and make sure that I share some tips, strategies, and other information that is really actionable and relevant and helpful for all of you in your digital, but especially your social media marketing efforts. And again, I am really excited to be able to join you guys today. We chatted with a couple of you right before the webinar. I talked to John with OnSource, and he lives in Braintree, Massachusetts. And we also talked to Di, who teaches marketing strategy. Maybe Di should be giving the webinar, who teaches marketing strategy at a college, a local college in Nova Scotia. And again, we are just about ready to get started. I am joined today by the wonderful Neal Schaffer of Maximize Your Social, who I know you're all well acquainted with. And I'm going to give Neal just a moment to introduce himself. Neal, are you there?
I am here.
Awesome. Neal, you want to just take a moment and say hello?
Yeah, well, first of all, hey, John, thanks for the kind words about the Social Tools Summit. Great to see you here. This is Neal Schaffer, founder of Maximize Your Social, Maximize Social Business, Social Tools Summit, Social Media Center of Excellence. Always have a lot of things going on, but it's all about social media and it's all about driving results. A lot of companies still actually struggle with social media ROI, and those that get it don't struggle. But 6 years into it, I was on a Twitter chat the other day where there were some interesting stats of all the businesses that are still struggling. So when I've been a fan of Heyo, been friends with Nathan, their founder, and Chris for a while, and it's like, you know what, let's get together and do a webinar and really provide really practical and actionable advice. If you want strategy, read Maximize Your Social. I hope you've all read it. But when you're ready for the tactical advice, that's really where these webinars come into play, and the chance for you to really ask any related question that you have. So I want to make sure that whenever I finish speaking, it's the same thing. When we're done with this webinar, every unanswered question you have about social media marketing should be answered. Chris, that's the challenge. I'll hand it back to you.
Oh man, what a tough challenge, but I like it. I think I'm up for it. I love how you're listing off all the stuff you're doing, Neal. You are a busy guy, you know that? A really busy guy, but I love everything that you're doing. All right, cool. Yeah, you got it. So again, folks, thanks for joining us. Here's what we're going to cover here in about the next 35 minutes. I'm going to try to move relatively quickly. First of all, we're going to talk about engagement, and I'm going to share with you the genius guide to engaging your social media audience, just like Will Smith. I know that sounds funny. It'll all make sense soon. Then we're going to talk about getting from engagement to leads. And I'm going to share with you my favorite strategy for getting 500 new email leads. And then finally, we'll talk about how to leverage email to nurture a lead into a sale. And of course, Neal and I both will be here and ready for live Q&A so you guys can answer. As he said, whatever unanswered questions you have, I don't want to end this webinar unless you guys feel comfortable and you feel like you know what you need to go out and actually test and execute this strategy. So first off, we heard a little bit about Neal. I'll share a little bit about myself because I know all of you know Neal very well. My name is Chris Riegger. I am head of strategy here at Heyo. I'm at Chris Riegger on Twitter. Heyo is a platform for running social media contests and campaigns that build your email list and generate engagement on social media. We're primarily focused on small business, hence the little Heyo Hearts small business on the slide. And we've been really grateful to be and humbled to be able to be included in a lot of great publications about social media, which is really awesome. So now that you guys know a little bit about Neal and myself, I would love to learn just a little bit more about you guys. I'm actually going to flash a poll up on the screen here. Would you mind just taking a look and answering this question? Who are you? Are you a startup? Would you consider yourself a small or medium business? A large business with 10 or more employees? Or an agency working with clients? I'm going to share these results with all of us on the webinar. I want us to all kind of get to know each other a little bit. So please take a minute and vote in my little poll here, if you don't mind. So we're at like 58%. Okay, oh, we're really coming in now. Okay, that's good. Let's get up to 75%. If we can get up over 75%, that would be awesome. Almost there. Okay, great. We hit it. So let me go ahead and share those results. So here's who we've got on a webinar. About 21% of you, about 1 in 5 of you consider yourselves a startup. It's just you. And then about 57% of you, more than half, a small medium business. 21% of you are in a large business with 10 or more employees and more than $500,000 a year in revenue. And none of you are an agency. That's really interesting. So none of you would consider yourself an agency or a consultant working with clients. So there you go. Neal, do those results make sense to you? You know your audience better than me. Are these surprising at all?
Well, I have a pretty broad audience. I thought we would get a little bit more agency and a little bit more large business, but yeah, I thought there'd be almost 25% across. So yeah, a little surprising, but when you write books and you're out there speaking, you attract a broad audience, and I think this is very representative of it. So I'm glad to
Well,
see people from every sector here.
well said. Very cool. Very cool. All right. And so with that, let's continue right along. So we already talked through the agenda. Let's start with the Genius Guide to Engaging Your Audience. And actually, my fault. Before we even get there, Neal mentioned something up front, and so did I when I was talking to Di, and that's three little letters: ROI, return on investment. We all spend a lot of time on social media. We know it's really important. We know there's a huge audience, billions of people using social media platforms on a regular, even daily basis. But sometimes it gets a little challenging to think about, man, how do I quantify or how do I calculate the real value of my social media marketing efforts? So this is one way that I and we here at Heyo have been able to do that. So here's how I think about this, and this will be kind of like a guide for this topic today. So if you think about the top of your social media funnel as your fans and followers, right? You want to attract more people and get them engaging with you. Like that's kind of how it starts. And for those of you that have a following on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook fans or LinkedIn or wherever else, then you've got that following already, or you're nurturing those folks on social media. Kind of the next step down the funnel is to turn them from fans into leads, and you do that by getting them to opt in and provide you contact information, usually an email address. Once you do that, you now have permission to talk to them outside of the social media platform, right? And you can interact with them, you can nurture them as leads, and get to the point where you can actually close sales from that population. And we found that to be really, really helpful for our clients here at Heyo. And I'll just share that personally in my own social media marketing efforts, and as I've worked with other businesses, I found that to be true as well. So keep this slide in mind as we talk through the presentation today. I'll also note here that I am recording today's presentation. I'm going to send it out to everybody who's on the webinar. So don't stress too much if you think, oh man, Chris is going a little too fast. Don't worry, I'm recording it for you. You'll be able to watch it after the fact as well. So let's talk about the Genius Guide to Engaging Your Audience, just like Will Smith. Okay, first off, this is a really important equation. And I'm sure that none of us knows exactly what this all means. Don't worry about it so much. I want you to just kind of take a look at this for a moment. Look at the equation on my slide. Kind of let it all soak in. We're going to come back and decipher this just at the very end of this section, but I want you to remember this. Now, when we think about engaging our audience, first of all, there are a number of things that we need to think about. So let's imagine that this person, this icon or picture of a woman here, that this is the avatar or the persona of your ideal customer. There are a few things you want to think about before you start really engaging them on social media. First of all, what type of content would they most engage with? Are you in a business that really plays really well with imagery? So maybe you're in fashion, jewelry, cosmetics. Are you in an outdoor focused business? Are you in a business where digital imagery, actual physical pictures and images are really meaningful, or text updates, video? There are a lot of different ways that you can engage with different content. What types of content, what structure of content does your audience, does your ideal customer really engage with most? Next is time. Are there specific times of day that your ideal customers are online? Are you trying to reach moms who get online once the kids are at school? Are you trying to reach folks after hours once they get home from work and they're kind of kicking back watching television at night and browsing social media? Are you trying to catch folks on the weekend? What times of day, morning, afternoon, evening, is your ideal customer really engaged in online? And then, as I also mentioned, what actual days of the week? Weekdays, weekends, Fridays, Tuesdays. There's a lot of chat often about like when the ideal time to send an email is. We don't often think, well, when's the right time to post? And then finally, think about your target. Are there specific demographics you know about your target? Are they a particular age? Are they in a particular location? If you are a local business, a bricks and mortar business, and you're trying to reach people in a very specific geographic area, that's really important to know. So take a moment or two to just think about your ideal customer and who they are, and answer a couple of these questions. Now let's dig in and let's look at some examples. First of all, some of the tools I use for the job. If I want to learn more about my audience, these are a couple of places I can go. I find that Facebook and Twitter have some really great insights and analytics into my audience. I use Facebook Insights on Facebook to learn about these kinds of things. It will tell you what time of day and what days of the week, for instance, your fans are online most. It will tell you what kinds of content they are engaging with the most. And you can also get some really great information from Twitter analytics as well. So Neal, let me lob this out to you. Are there any other tools you use to measure activity, social media activity amongst your audience?
No, it's funny you mention that. I'm actually working with a startup, and I recommended, and I'm being the consultant and the agency. So we're only doing Facebook and Twitter, and I like it because it's measurable. It has a self-serve ad platform, which you get more stats for. So it's very, very easy to, understand your audience better, optimize better, and then, and I'm sure you're going to talk about this, Chris, with a little bit of paid social, with retargeting and custom audiences, there's a lot of other really, really great ROI-driven and metric-driven activities that you can do. So yeah, those are my two favorites as well. And that's why, someone's going to ask a question about Snapchat, but the problem with networks that are still new like that are they're not really measurable yet for those reasons. Even I think Instagram at this point is much more measurable than Snapchat. So I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point. Just to reiterate what Neal just said, Facebook and Twitter are the most mature social platforms, so they tend to have the best analytics, the best ecosystem for businesses. That doesn't mean you can't use other platforms, but if you want to get data and insights, they're probably two of the best ones. So I would agree with Neal on that front. So let's talk about this a little bit. So when we talk about mixing content, that was one of the recommendations I made. We're talking mixing text updates, visual content like images and video, and sharing links. Let's take a look at a couple of cool examples. Now, I'm sharing all these examples I'm sharing are from the actor Will Smith. Now, you probably didn't know you were going to be talking about Will Smith on a webinar about social media marketing, but that's okay. In fact, let me ask you guys right now, in the GoToWebinar questions, do you have a favorite Will Smith movie? What is your favorite Will Smith movie? Let's just have a little fun here for a second. Are you like a iRobot, fan, a social or a sci-fi fan? Do you love action movies? What's your favorite Will Smith movie? Tell me in the GoToWebinar questions. I'd have to say mine is probably iRobot. I'm kind of a sci-fi nut myself, so I'll let you guys kind of answer that and think about that as I share a few thoughts. So again, you can drop those into the GoToWebinar questions. I think that'd be kind of fun. All right, cool. So mixing content. Here we have some specific examples, right? On the left-hand side, this is an image post. On the right-hand side, you've got two. Right on the top, you've got just a plain text post. And you'll notice that he adds a very simple question to engage, right? Who or what inspires you and why? Just pondering. He asks a question. He's asking them to engage. And then, of course, he shares a video here on the bottom right-hand side of the slide. So mixing content is really important. Here's another tip as you're thinking about engaging your audience, to keep it timely. And I would say this is true of marketing in general, but certainly when you're posting organically on social channels. You'll notice this example here. Will is with a friend, Sergio, and he says, wishing Sergio Aguero a victorious run in the Copa America 2015 tournament. So this was from last year. Now, he tagged a couple of things. He tagged Sergio Aguero, okay, the guy in the picture, and he tagged the Copa America 2015 tournament. What I found is that the more timely and the more tied your social media content is to real life current events, so maybe it's a major holiday, maybe it's a big sporting event like this example, maybe it's something else, but making it really timely and relevant tends to drive a lot more engagement and really attract people. So I find that to be true. I think this is a really, really good example of that. Okay, another great tip for you when we think about engaging our audience is to show social proof. So here's an image post from Will. And again, he's tagged the Graham Norton Show. He's trademarking the hover hand selfie on the Graham Norton Show. And he's got a picture of himself amongst a crowd of people. Now, I know we're not all movie stars like Will Smith. And I'll be like, hey, Chris, come on. Like, I can't get a picture like this from some talk show I'm on. Well, maybe you could, right? But let's use a little example here. We talked to John earlier on, who's joining us from Massachusetts. And John spoke, he said, at a conference that Neal actually put on, the Social Tool Summit there in the Boston area. So, John, maybe you grabbed some photos while you were at that conference. Maybe you were some photos of you in a crowd like this, or maybe just a photo of you with some friends wearing your conference badges. Anything you can do to share social proof, testimonials, that goes a long way with building trust amongst your social media followers. And that is a really important precursor to actually being able to sell to them. So I find that to definitely be true. Now let's get back to this equation. So if you remember that really funny Greek looking equation that I shared at the very beginning of this section, let's actually break this down. What that means is rank equals affinity times weight times decay. This equation essentially lays out how platforms like Facebook are ranking content. So let's talk about this a little bit. Most social media platforms, when they're new, they just show you updates, status updates. They show you your social feed in just a time order. When you log on to that platform, you see information that the most recent updates first, right? What happens is as those social platforms get more crowded and they get more and more content on them, those platforms start to curate and filter the content they show you. This is how, for instance, Facebook does it. What this basically means is, and why this is important for you as a business, is that your fans, when they're logging into, let's use Facebook as the example, when they're logging into Facebook, they're seeing content based on these three factors. So let's just break down each one. Affinity basically means how important does Facebook think that person or that brand is to you? Let me give you an example. So I am married, and my wife and I are quote unquote married on Facebook. Now, I don't know if that adds any legitimacy to our relationship. I don't think it does. I hope it doesn't. But we are labeled as married on Facebook. So Facebook knows that she's my wife. So guess what? Every time she posts an update, it's at the very top of my feed. Like, hey, Chris's wife is posting. We're going to put that right at the top. Why that's important for you as a brand is the more that individual users of that platform are engaging with your content, then the higher up they're going to show that your content is going to show in those folks' newsfeed. Weight is simply how important do we think this content is? How many likes, how many comments, how many shares does it have? And decay is just a factor of time. It's just a factor of time. What that means is the more recent the content is, the more likely it is to be shown. I'm going to ask Neal's opinion here because this is, I think, a really, really important topic. This has been the case with Facebook. Twitter has come out and said, hey, we might experiment with this soon. And Instagram recently came out and said, they're actually doing this. They're actually starting to filter and curate content. So I just want to ask you, Neal, what are your thoughts on this, and what are your recommendations for folks to actually manage and get kind of work through the fact that platforms are just curating content more and more?
Yeah, thanks, Chris, and this is great. We call it EdgeRank, the Facebook algorithm, but yeah, so there are big consumer brands like Coca-Cola and Pepsi that for them engagement is the ROI, but for most smaller businesses, engagement is the tactic which makes sure that your content remains relevant in news feeds. So we know that Facebook has the most aggressive algorithm. I went to Facebook headquarters. They said there's 10,000 or maybe 100,000 different elements. This is broken into the three main ones, but there are many more that determine. And yes, Twitter and Instagram both announced they were producing it. And I get this asked a lot. Hey, Neal, what should we do with the Twitter algorithm and the Instagram algorithm? And you're going to read a lot of blog posts in the social media echo chamber that say, oh, the end is near. But really what it is as long as you're posting relevant content in a not too frequently basis and you're engaging with your audience, I think that, what you're going to need to do, just like a lot of you do on Facebook, is, maybe once a week boost a post to ensure that you retain that engagement. But as long as you're not over posting, I think that you're going to do just fine. I really have not seen any changes in Twitter. And when I presented at Social Media Marketing World on Twitter, I basically showed my Google Analytics data and what's coming from Twitter, before and after the algorithm change, and there's not really much of a difference. So at the end of the day, what's going to help you navigate through the algorithms is the data. And this comes back to why we recommend Facebook and Twitter, because you have access to that data and Facebook Insights. So I put up a slide of the Statue of Liberty for those Americans on the call, and I said, in data we trust. Can I hear a hallelujah? And if we could open up the mic, I'm hoping you'd all say hallelujah. But that's really, the data is going to help navigate, because the algorithms are always going to change. It's like Google. You can never outguess them, but you can trust the data and optimize based on what you see.
Yeah, I like that, Neil. Numbers don't lie, right? I mean,
Exactly.
you analyze the data, you figure these things out. Like I shared, some of this information you can glean from Facebook Insights, from Twitter Analytics, and you do the best you can, and you try to do your best to be relevant and engaging. And I think generally, folks, you're going to be okay. So don't put this. I don't put this out there to spook you. I want you to be aware and understand, at least like Neil said, kind of the main factors that are going to impact the visibility of your content on these platforms. And then once you really have, I mean, hopefully all of you are to this point where you have a content strategy and plan. But once you really have kind of some of these details down, I would highly recommend having like an actual timeline of when you are posting to social media. I think it helps. Again, if you know what days and what times your fans are more likely to be online, that can help inform literally when you post and what types of content you post as well. And we're going to get to this also, but running contests on social media on a regular basis can be an important part of your social media funnel, and more on that later. Here are a few tools I use for the job. So, there are a number of great platforms out there that you can use to curate, content, find good content, third-party content to post, and then make the process of scheduling and posting content on social media much, much easier. So here are just a few of them, but there are many, many great ones. I'll also add that, Neal mentioned Facebook ads, boosting posts. I think boosting posts, even to your fans, is a really smart strategy, at least to do once or twice, just to stay relevant and stay top of mind with those folks. And we can certainly talk more about this, especially in Q&A. But there are certainly a lot you can do with the Facebook ad platform and the Twitter ad platform too, which has come a long way to drive more ROI from your social marketing efforts. And so with that, let's dive into my favorite strategy for getting 500 new email leads. So let's kind of paint a picture here. So now you've got this strategy in place. You've got good content going out. Your fan base, your follower base is growing on social. Now we want to get them down. If you can remember that first slide, that funnel slide, how do we get them down the funnel and convert them into leads? This is my favorite strategy for getting 500 new email leads. I'm going to share a few tips with you, practical tips, as well as some quick case studies. So my favorite strategy is to launch a social campaign. So the most basic form of social campaign would be a giveaway or a sweepstakes, a very simple contest that offers an incentive to your fans and followers, basically your audience online, in exchange for them simply opting in and providing you some contact information. Remember, that's what we want to happen. We want them to opt in and become a lead instead of just a fan. So what I'm going to share with you right now are the 6 critical elements that I think I found to be most important for your social campaign, for your giveaway or sweepstakes to be successful, and here they are. Number 1 would be simple brand awareness. They are your fan. They are a fan of your business. Make sure that your logo is clear and upfront and connecting the dots, no matter where your social contest page lives. Number 2 would be picking a strong incentive. So often businesses are tempted to give away something like generic, like an iPad or an Amazon gift card. But you know what? That's too generic a prize. Many, many people would love to have a free iPad. My 11-year-old son would love to have a free iPad. He would make a terrible lead because he has no money. So, think about a prize, picking an incentive that really aligns well with your audience and is really relevant to them. So, for instance, if you're a real estate agent, maybe your prize is something like a gift card to Crate and Barrel for home furnishings and home goods. Or maybe it's a free high-tech Bluetooth door handle or lock for someone's front door. Something exciting related to the home that a new homeowner or someone looking for a new home would be excited about, right? So there's just a quick tip for you. Number 3, a 10-day countdown. So I found that one of the best ways to get more leads from your fan base with one of these campaigns is creating urgency. And one of the best ways to do that is simply the simple step, it's just a little bit redundant, of putting a countdown timer directly on the page, Number 4 would be, and this seems like so basic, and it's like basic blocking and tackling, but just make it easy to enter. Be really clear how they can opt into the campaign. Don't ask for too much information. So if you take a look at my screen right now, you'll see that this little opt-in is just simply asking for an email address. Now, here's the thing. It is a law of the internet that every additional piece of information you ask for will decrease your conversion rate, your opt-in rate. So I found that, a lot of times businesses get really excited and they ask for like 5, 6, 10 pieces of information to opt in for a campaign or for a contest, and it's just too many. It's going to hurt your conversion rate, so keep that very simple. You can also, we'll talk more about this later, sync your contest page, your campaign landing page, to your email marketing platform, whether you use MailChimp or Aweber or Constant Contact or Infusionsoft or what have you. You can sync that campaign to your email marketing platform and set up an autoresponder or do whatever you need to do so that those new leads get ported right into your email marketing platform. It's very, very slick. Number 5, this is really important. I'm going to spend a moment talking about this, is turning your fans into marketers for you. I always like contests that have some smart sharing options embedded onto the page. So take a look at my screen right now. You can see at the bottom left part of this campaign landing page, people can click to like, click to share, and click to tweet about the contest. So what does that do? Well, let me explain that right now. Let's say this is Paul. Paul enters your contest and he shares and tweets it out to his followers. Now let's say Paul has 250 followers. That is, very, very probably on the low end of average on these platforms nowadays. So let's say on Facebook and Twitter, he's got 250 fans and followers. So he tweets and shares it out. And let's say just 5 of his followers decide to click that link and they enter the contest too. Then they share it out to all their fans and followers, right? They've each got 250 followers. And let's say each of them gets 5 people to enter. So this is what's called virality, right? This is what's called virality. And what I found is, it's more effective on some campaigns than others, but at the end of the day, simply by having some smart share options on the page, you will get some additional entries that way, some additional opt-ins that way. It's a very, very smart strategy. And number 6, my 6th tip is to make it mobile friendly. I'm definitely going to ask for Neal's input here. This is so important. Here are a few stats. Take a look at my screen and take a look at these stats real quick. And these are, feel free to tweet or share these if you like. So what this slide shares is that 52% of Facebook users are only using Facebook from their mobile phone. And by the way, this comes straight from Facebook. This comes straight from their quarterly earnings announcement. There are 1.6 billion active Facebook users on mobile, 400 million active Instagram users on mobile. And the average person spends 40 minutes per day on Facebook. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is that people are not only using these sites, but they're using these sites, these social media platforms from their phones. And we're seeing that more and more. Neal, is this something you talk about as well, with folks that you're working with? How important do you think mobile is at this point in 2016?
Yeah, I think we've reached a turning point where we need to think mobile first. So you don't have to stop everything you're doing, but especially when you're working with images and text, just understand that probably a majority of people that read that information are going to be reading it on a smartphone or an iPad. So you want to test and make sure that you first focus on getting the resolution, everything right for those platforms, and not just default to desktop. You need to think a little bit differently going forward, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's really important. We officially, as I say, crossed the chasm last year, according to Mary Meeker's Internet Trends Report, that U.S. adults, at the very least, I can't speak for everybody globally, but in the U.S., adults online are now spending more time online on their phones than on their computers. So we're past 50% of people's time being spent on phones. We actually did an analysis here at Heyo last year. We decided, well, everybody's saying how important mobile is, but are people still entering these kinds of contests and campaigns from their phones? So we actually looked across all of our customers and we pulled some data together. And on average, we saw over 60% of contest entries coming from mobile. So pretty much in line with all these stats that we're talking about that I'm sharing on this slide. Mobile is super, super important. And I agree with Neal. I think thinking mobile first is the way to go. Now, here's what I found, folks, is that here are a few case studies for you. If you're able to pull this off with a social campaign, simply promoting it on social and in other organic channels you have available to you, it can be extremely positive for your business. It can be almost magical, I would say. So here are a few examples. This is Stein Home Improvement. They're a small, again, just take a look at this slide on my screen. This is Stein Home Improvement, a small family-owned hardware chain in Louisiana. They ran a social giveaway, got almost 19,000 impressions. So that's almost 19,000 people saw the campaign, and over 6,500 opt in. So their conversion rate was over 34%, which is very, very strong. I would say these types of campaigns, we generally see converting at around 15 to 20% and higher. And when I say converting, I mean what percentage of people who see the campaign actually opt into it for a chance to win. Okay, so they converted at 34%. Next, this is Lake Lovers, a business in the UK. They also ran a sweepstakes on social media. They had 8,500 impressions and captured almost 4,800 emails. Their conversion rate was 56%, which is extremely strong. Very, very good conversion rate. This is a very cool contest by a hat making company called Gorin Brothers. And what they did was they gave away a hat. But take a look at my screen real quick. Look at the red badge on their campaign that outlines their prize, and let me know if you can see what that says. Just take a quick look at that for me. If you do, you'll notice that not only did they give away just a free hat, but part of the prize is actually having a hat named after you. So they added this layer of exclusivity into their prize, right? So that would be like if Neal won, they would, one of the new hats in their new lineup, they'd call it the Neal Schaffer. That is pretty freaking cool, I think. So they had over 10,000 impressions, and they converted, and this is one of the highest converting campaigns I've ever seen, at 78%. They got over 8,400 new email leads from that campaign. Here's another one that I love. It's called I Love Camping. It was just a simple affinity site for people who love to camp, and they have a Facebook page and a Facebook group and some other social presence as well. They ran a sweepstakes, got 5,300 impressions, and captured 2,400 new emails for almost a 60% conversion rate. So there are a few examples for you of successful social contests and kind of how they've run. So let's just have a quick checkpoint here. What we've learned so far is, again, the Genius Guide to Engaging a Social Media Audience the way Will Smith does. And my favorite strategy of running a social campaign for getting 500 new email leads. And stay tuned for how to leverage email to nurture a lead into a sale. That's an extremely important part of this presentation, as well as some live Q&A with Neal and myself. So let me take a moment, though, right now and ask. You're at a decision point, folks. Tell me in the GoToWebinar questions, yes or no, do you want to see how to build a social contest, how to actually build out one of these campaign landing pages? If so, I can do a little demo here for you. And if not, I don't want to do it. So if you'd like me to do that, type yes in GoToWebinar in the questions panel. If not, type skip. And I'm happy to move on. And again, this is just something that I'll do if you guys want to see it. Though I had a few people answer. I'd love to have a few more people answer, although I'm seeing a lot of yeses, Neal, so far. Okay, Kelly says sure. Jerry Ann, Ron, Winetta, Barbara says yes. Okay, Neal, I'm going to go ahead and do it, I think.
Let's do it.
All right, so let me do it, and I'll try to keep this relatively quick. But now, here's what I'll say. There are lots of great platforms out there that you can use to put together a really nice contest landing page. This is what we do here at Heyo. I'm very familiar with our tool, obviously, so I'm going to use Heyo to do this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click Create a Campaign. So take a look at my screen. I'm on the Heyo dashboard. I'm going to click Create a Campaign. I'm going to name it my Spring Giveaway. Click Save and Continue. Now, there are a few options I have here within Heyo, but I'm going to focus on this top one. So what's your goal with Heyo today? Run a social contest. I'm going to click that. Over here on the right, I've got a few different options of different types of campaigns I can run. I'm going to choose sweepstakes. This is just the most basic kind of campaign you can run. If you've never done one before, this is where I'd really recommend that you start. I'm going to click Save and Start Editing. And you can see how this works is simply right here in the middle of the screen. This is my campaign canvas, if you will. And as I mouse over each element, they highlight and I can click to edit them. And if I click, on the right-hand side, I've got my options to actually put together the campaign. So Neal, I think I'm going to use Maximize Your Social as my example. Would that be okay with you?
Sweet.
Awesome. So here we are with Maximize Your Social. Okay, cool. So there are a couple of things I want to do. First, I want to get Neal's logo right here in the top left corner. Remember, we said branding is really important. So I'm actually going to grab a screenshot Maybe if I did that right in the first place. Neal's logo. Neal, I promise no copyright infringement here. I don't think Neal thought that was very funny. All right, so I'm gonna grab that logo. I'm gonna grab that logo. I'm gonna upload it. There it is. All right, and this is just me being illustrative with a quick screenshot, but you guys will get a feel here for how this works. So now, Heyo's just uploading that logo. Boom, there it is right there. Looks great. So next is the contest countdown. Now remember, creating a sense of urgency is really important. I recommend a 10-day countdown. But if you want to go over a little shorter, a little longer than that, that's okay. I would just highly recommend being at least 7 days and no more than 14. So I think 10 days is perfect, which is why we default to 10 days. I'm going to leave it alone, but if you wanted to, you could click that countdown. You could change the date and time right here on the right-hand side. Now, right below that is the entry form, and this is, again, really important. You want it to be really clear and easy to enter. I'm going to click that, and here I can select from a number of different email marketing platforms or CRMs that I want to port my leads into. And if you don't see your platform on the list, that is okay. That is okay. All you do is click downloadable CSV file, and we will actually store those leads for you, and you can download them to a CSV file, an Excel file at any time. But what I'm going to do is keep it very simple. I'm automatically asking for email address. I'm going to click this little plus button. I'm going to add a field. I'm actually going to ask for first name as well. So let's just say that I want to capture their first name. Actually move that up. Perfect. I click Save Changes, and boom, there's my entry form. Now, share settings are really important. If I go back to Neal's website, I'm quite certain that if I scroll down, I'm going to find all of his social icons. There they are. So let's click on Facebook. There's Neal. I'm going to copy the URL for his Facebook page. So when I click these share settings, again, on the right-hand side here, I've got different options for updating those. Facebook page to like. I'm going to paste in Neal's Facebook page so that people have a chance to actually become fans of his page if they aren't already as they enter the contest. URL to share, I'm going to leave blank because you'll see that based on the note here that if I leave this blank, Heyo will default to this contest page when people share it. So when people share it, they'll be sharing a link back to this page. So I'm going to leave it like that. And then the share tweet text, I certainly want to update and say, I just entered to win a great prize. You can too. Just click here. Okay. Awesome. I'm going to click Save Changes, and now I've got my share options set up. And then finally, I've got the actual hero image for the campaign. So, Neal, you're a public speaker and you're an author. If you were going to give something away as a prize, what do you think it would be? Would it be like an autographed copy of a book? Any thoughts?
That's a great question, and this is something I've been wanting to talk about because a lot of you on the call are you might be from a consumer-facing organization where you sell to consumers where campaigns make sense. You might be from a B2B organization where you're wondering, why would I want to do a campaign and give away an Amazon gift card? But I think the campaign is the tactic that both is engaging, Fear I Drink, as well as helps you acquire that email address to push these social media users further into your funnel. So social media campaigns, they've been talked about for a long time. They were the first thing that a lot of people did on Facebook, but they're still, I'd say even more relevant today. So if you're a B2B company like I am, I could give away signed copies of my book. I might say, hey, I will fly out to your company and spend a day with you working on your social media strategy and social media implementation, looking for ways to optimize your social media ROI. I think that's a very unique thing. It's very personalized. I'm putting some skin in the game. I may have to limit that to the continental United States for travel fees. But I think if you're going to do a campaign, make it count, make it something that's really, really worthwhile that your relevant audience would want to share. Not everybody's going to be interested in that, and that's fine. But I really want to reach my relevant audience, and I want to get them to sign up. Those people that would want to hire me as a consultant would be the ones that would want to sign up for that prize. So it's this inbound marketing approach to figuring out what sort of prize is going to attract that relevant customer. Chris, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that, Neal. And like I said early on, this is why I recommend making sure your prize isn't too generic, right? Because like you said, giving away an Amazon gift card or a free iPad or what have you, that's going to attract lots of people, potentially get you a lot of entries, but they're not necessarily going to be relevant for your business. So I like the idea of giving something away that is specific to the audience you want to reach. It's going to be really compelling and relevant to them. And I just want to say a quick note too on like B2B and services organizations. Um, I totally agree with Neal. We have lots of services companies that use Heyo, for instance, and are very successfully running these types of social campaigns. And what I would say is it's important to give away the right kind of prize. And I like Neal's. I mean, first of all, having Neal fly out to your company and spend a day on your social media strategy with you, that's a pretty darn cool prize and extremely valuable. But don't stress about. Oh, you might be thinking, oh man, I can't afford a plane ticket. I wouldn't stress too much about giving something too extravagant away either, because look at my screen. Here's one of Neal's books, right? And even this alone would make. I'll just paste that in here. Would make a great prize. It's an autographed copy of the book. Maybe it comes with something special from Neal that's a little bit exclusive, right? So even something that's relatively inexpensive or even free to give away, like at least from a monetary standpoint, can be a really, really effective prize. So keep that in mind. By the way, your book cover looks really good on this page, Neal.
Thank you.
Finally, we have this little text area below below the image, and this is the perfect place. If you want to put some marketing copy in here, you can, and you can certainly do that. But this is also, at the very least, a good place to put your contest terms or rules, or at least link to your rules page, which is important. I think Jerry Ann earlier said, "Hey, don't forget the official rules link." Jerry Ann's exactly right. You got to have your rules or your terms somewhere. So putting them here in this paragraph, if they're relatively light, is a great thing to do. Otherwise, you can simply link to them. This is, by the way, a full text editor. I can change the size. If I want to make this a little bit bigger, I can. I can change the font type, the font color. Got a lot of really great options here. So you can really customize this and kind of make it your own. So once everything's done, we're finally to the end here. I'm going to click Save Changes and Save and Preview. And this is really the last stop before publishing, where I can take a look at my contest page and make sure everything looks really, really good. All right, cool. So Neal, what do you think? This looks pretty good, right?
Yeah, it looks great.
All right, awesome. Now, I'm going to see if I can actually unmute John here, who I talked to earlier, to see if I can get him live on the line with Neal and me as well. Hey, John, I've unmuted you again. Are you still there?
I am still here. Yes.
John, awesome, fantastic. John, how's this contest page looking so far? I mean, I kind of whipped this together in 3 minutes. What do you think?
I think it looks all right. Although it'd be nice to have a call to action somewhere.
Yeah, right. Well, my call to action, right, is to enter the contest. So maybe we should make that a little bit bigger, right? So like I can do that. I can click advanced options, and maybe I'm going to say, instead of enter, win the free book. I'll also make that a little bigger. Is that better? How's that, John?
Yeah. Is it going to appear on the left-hand side, or is it going to appear on the right-hand side?
Yeah. So right now with this template, it's appearing on the right-hand side. Now, John, you remember how we talked about how important mobile is, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mobile,
okay. So yeah,
mobile's
okay, so,
incredibly important.
Yeah.
So I want you to watch this for me. So I've kind of put this page together, and obviously I just did this in a couple of minutes. I think it looks pretty good. You could certainly spend more time and optimize it and make it exactly how you want it.
Yeah. No.
But here, I've got it all together. Check this out. I'm going to click this button and watch what happens. Boom. So this template is completely mobile responsive. And this is what I would highly recommend that all of you do when you run a social contest. Use a platform like Heyo that makes your campaign mobile for you, so you don't have to worry about it. There are too many platforms out there that will have you create a page and then create it again for mobile, and I just think that makes absolutely no sense. So make sure you pick a page that or a platform that is fully mobile responsive and will look great on every platform. I think that's super, super important to do. All right, John, thanks for letting me pull you live here again, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks.
You got
Yeah,
it.
hey, Chris, I want to just throw out a quick comment. That's a mistake that a lot of small businesses do in social is they just like show the picture of the product. You should actually add the call to action to that image, right? Because it features so prominently. So, take the image, bring it into PowerPoint, put in some text, take a screenshot of it. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't need to hire someone or even use Photoshop to do it. But that would be my recommendation as well. Make it very clear in that image what the call to action is. So thanks for that reminder, John.
Yeah, John, really good point. Thanks, Neal, for that. It's extremely important. I will also add that, just a quick tip, design tip for everyone. The orange-red color spectrum, that is the alert color spectrum to the human brain. So I highly recommend whatever your call to action is, make sure that you've got that color represented somehow, whether it's depending on your brand, right, and your brand image, whether it's a bright pink or a dark red or an orange, but making it clear that that is exactly what they're supposed to do. I really like it when that's kind of the brightest thing on the page. It's, by the way, that's why stop signs are red, right? It is literally a human, it's a human thing, right? That's how we respond to that color. That is the alert color. So with that, once I'm ready to publish, I just make sure I've got the right platforms checked. I'm going to publish this to mobile and web. I click publish. Heyo is simply going to give me this, what we call a smart URL. This is the URL that I would, Neal, paste into whatever social platform I want to promote this campaign on with my call to action. And we will direct people who click on it to the right version of the campaign based on their device, which is very, very cool. So if I paste this in here from my laptop, I'm going to see that, grab the wrong link. I'm going to see that campaign live on the web, and there it is. So thanks so much, guys. So that was just a quick demo of, again, illustrating how easy it is to actually create one of these social campaigns. Now, let's get really quickly through how to leverage email to nurture a lead into a sale. So now that you've been engaging your audience, now that you've got a very clear strategy for getting folks to opt in and become a lead, right? Give you contact information and become a lead. How do we then leverage email to nurture a lead into a sale? So here's one more quick case study for you. I'm going to use them to illustrate this principle. So this is Solo Stove, okay? Solo Stove is an online retailer. They sell backpacking camp stoves and related equipment. Very cool company. And they are a Heyo customer, which is how I was able to talk to them and find out about this particular campaign. They ran a very simple sweepstakes campaign that you can see here on the left-hand side, but they also used email follow-ups to leverage those new leads from the campaign and get more sales. Their campaign, by the way, generated over 1,000 impressions and captured 474 emails, okay, which is really great. Now, here's how they did it. I'm going to share with you 5 steps. And if you wanted to test a strategy for nurturing these new leads into a sale, this is exactly what I would do. First, you build and publish your contest. We just did that. And hopefully you saw how easy that can be when you find a good platform. It doesn't have to be really complicated or hard to do. So step 1, get your contest live. Step 2, you want to make sure you have your thank you email set up. This is what Solo Stove did so well, and I would call this a best practice. Have an autoresponder set up so as soon as someone enters the contest, they get a thank you email from you. And I would have that email do 3 specific things. Thank them for entering, prepare them for receiving more email, and offer an opportunity to connect. So if you take a look at the copy that Solo Stove used, right, they said, thanks for entering the Solo Stove sweepstakes. We'll be announcing the winner on Friday, May 16th. Be sure to watch your inbox to see if you've won. They're preparing you to receive more email. And then they offer a very soft opportunity to connect. You don't want to be too promotional here, right? In the meantime, you might enjoy reading about the science of how our camp stoves work so well. They provided a link, and that's a link to a blog post. So again, there's an offer to connect with them. So that is step 2. Step 3, now it's time to promote your contest. Now, Neal, we could spend an entire webinar talking about great promotion strategies. Here are 3 tips, though. Yeah, totally. Here are 3 tips, though, I would tell everyone. First of all, make sure you promote organically on social media. I liked John's point about making sure your call to action is very clear. Make sure that you are promoting organically on any social media platform where you have an audience. I would also recommend promoting anywhere else that you have an audience online. So for instance, or offline even. Let me give you a couple of examples. If you've got a website with decent amount of traffic, that's an audience. If you've got a blog with subscribers, right, that's also an audience. If you run a bricks and mortar business and you've got people coming in and out of your physical location, that's another audience. So I think promoting anywhere else, that's what I would call quote unquote organic, I think is really, really smart. And then finally, consider well-targeted ads. The most common platform to use would be the Facebook ads platform. It tends to be the most easy to target. They've got the most targeting criteria available to businesses. As Neal said, they've got great analytics. So I found them to be best for customers and easy to be the most successful with. However, I would highly recommend that you're very targeted with your Facebook ads or with any other ads that you might choose to use. So that's step 3. Step 4 would be to send a wrap-up email. And now we start to trend into being more promotional, right? So first of all, with this wrap-up email, we again want to do 3 things. We want to communicate that they didn't win. So sorry, you didn't win this time. 2, we want to remind about future emails. Hey, we're going to be, Solo Stove says, we plan on having several more contests throughout the year. Please continue to check for emails from us. Follow us on social media, right? So remind them. And finally, go ahead and offer them a coupon code. They did a great job by saying, hey, as a token of our appreciation for your entry, we'd like to invite you to enjoy 10% off your next purchase. Enter the code SWEEPS10 at checkout. And by the way, boom, there's your big orange call to action. So sending that wrap-up email is really important. And then finally, what they did was they then used follow-up future emails to continue nurturing those leads into sales. They announced future contests. They sent out special offers and discounts, or they continue to nurture them through good content to get them to become customers. And folks, the great thing about this strategy is if you do this, now suddenly we've connected the dots between having fans that are engaging with you, and boy, isn't that great, but actually nurturing them down the funnel and becoming customers, leveraging social campaigns and then ultimately email marketing to do that. So as we wrap up this section here and we get closer to Q&A, Neal, anything else that you would add about this strategy of just kind of nurturing leads into sales? Anything else you'd recommend?
Yeah, that's really where the marketer and the business owner needs to become the artist, right? So you shouldn't have to worry about the technology. I mean, Heyo's there. You saw how easy it was in 5 minutes. It comes down to the creativity and what that giveaway is going to be in the promotion of it. And I loved that, sending out the email to say, hey, sorry, you need to remind people of, why they're getting the email in the first place. And then keep nurturing after that with relevant information. And that targeted promotion is so critical. As I tell my clients, if you have the ability to handpick your customers, who would they be? And those are the people you want to target on Facebook or Twitter with paid ads, right? Or on Instagram.
Absolutely.
So so really the focus when you create the campaign, the technology, if you're with Heyo, it's the easy part. What you're going to give away, you need to spend time on, but it's really the promotion of what you do afterward, of how you're going to get those specific people that entered your specific campaign and engage them with content on a regular basis. That's going to be where the hard part is, where the zen is. And you're probably going to have to do A/B testing, and it may take 10 campaigns until you get it right. But, if they entered one campaign, even if they don't buy from you yet and they enter a second campaign, that's great. It's another touch point. We all know in sales, and I forgot her name, the professor from Nova Scotia, we need multiple touch points in order to close the deal, right? Maybe 7 to 10. So it gets you one step closer to generating revenue.
Yeah, I totally agree. Great points. By the way, that was Di in Nova Scotia.
Di, thank you.
Neal, you got it. And yeah, you're exactly right. Now let me show you. Here's the cool thing, right? I've got one more case study for you. So this was Solo Stove and all these examples we got from that same retailer. Here's a company that actually, did this very successfully as well. This is Scoot Boot. And they make these really cool, I'd never seen these before, Neal. I don't know, maybe I don't spend enough time around horses. They are these really cool like shoes for horses. I know that sounds silly, but these are really innovative, and they basically replace the traditional horseshoe. Okay, but that's kind of interesting. But here's the point. They ran one campaign. They promoted it extremely well. They captured almost 4,000 new email leads. And here's the cool thing. I've been working with them to just understand how they did it. They used a very, very similar strategy to Solo Stove. They got their campaign live. They thought a lot about their prize. They promoted it really well in all the right channels. And then they used that same follow-up strategy of having an autoresponder thanking them for entering, sending a wrap-up email, following up with more content, and nurturing those leads. They then, over the next several months, it wasn't like it didn't happen in a week, right? they've generated over $50,000 in new revenue through this one campaign, through the leads they got from this one campaign, which is just amazing. I mean, if you could spend a little bit of money investing in this strategy and a little bit of time and generate that much revenue, I think obviously that would be a huge win. So just wanted to share with you guys, this does work. And again, here's another great example of that. So here we are, guys. So far, you've learned the Genius Guide to Engaging Your Social Media Audience, my favorite strategy for getting 500 new email leads, and how to leverage email to nurture a lead into a sale. And I tried to be, Neal, as tactical as I could be. It's tough to do, man, in under an hour. But there we are. So stay tuned for live Q&A. Now, here's what I'd like to ask you guys. In the GoToWebinar questions, let me know, have you learned at least 2 new things from this webinar today? If yes, please tell me yes. If not, just say no. Feedback is super important to me. Like, we put this content together to be really relevant for you guys and extremely helpful. And if it wasn't helpful, I obviously want to know about it because we need to tweak it. We need to share something else next time. So let me know in the GoToWebinar questions, yes or no, have you learned at least 2 new things today? Okay, Alan says yes. Juanetta says yes. Ron, yes. Christine, yes, thank you. So polite. Thank you, Christine. Jerry Ann, okay, awesome. Neal, I think everybody got something out of this, which is really great. So, Neal, here's the thing. You and I, as you said, we go back a ways. We've had a good relationship for years now, and you've been so kind and so helpful and so wonderful to us. I had actually prepared a little bit of like kind of a bonus or like a special offer for your audience. And with their permission, I'd love to share it with them. Would that be okay with you?
Wow, sweet, thanks.
Yeah, you got it. So let me ask you guys this. Are you interested in seeing this little special offer that I've put together for you guys today and learning a little bit more about how we price Heyo? If so, type bonus in the GoToWebinar questions. And if not, type skip. By the way, I am a big fan of, capital letters, personality, basically. Capital letters, exclamation points, emoji. If you can figure out how to get an emoji in GoToWebinar, then you must be doing something right. So if you're interested in that, type bonus. If not, type skip. That is no problem. Again, I don't want to waste everybody's time. All right, I see pretty much all bonuses. I got the all caps bonus from Jerry Ann. Thank you, Jerry Ann. Okay. All right, cool. I think I am going to go ahead and share it, Neal. I hope that's all right. Everybody seems like they want to hear it. So awesome. So cool. So here we go, guys. Real quick, here's what's included with every Heyo package. Okay. You can launch up to 3 campaigns at a time, just like the sweepstakes you saw me build for Maximize Your Social. You can access the photo and video contest templates. So there are different types of campaigns that you can run to engage your audience and convert more leads, like the giveaway and sweepstakes templates as well. You can access lead gen templates. So, we talked about B2B. If you simply want to give away a free download or some other piece of content, more of an evergreen lead collection strategy, you can do that with Heyo as well. We've got direct email marketing integrations like MailChimp, Aweber. You saw the list. It's pretty extensive. So you can directly connect with most major email marketing platforms. Most importantly, you've got mobile versions of your campaigns to capture mobile leads. Again, this is so important. Regardless of whether you use Heyo or not, please make sure your campaigns are mobile responsive so that you are putting your best foot forward and thinking mobile first. I hope you saw how easy it is to use Heyo. It's designed for beginners. It's a very simple user interface. You don't need to know how to code. It's basically point and click. It's an approved application that integrates directly with Facebook. So if you want to publish your campaign to Facebook as an app or tab, you can do that. And it's backed by really great customer support. Now, on to the important stuff. For you guys today, for everybody who buys on the webinar today, there are a few things that I'm going to give you just because you're a friend of Neal's. I'm kind of leading with my best here, Neal. We are going to actually feature your business in a blog post if you purchase a Heyo plan today. And what that means is simply, the Heyo blog is a very well-trafficked site. We've got tens of thousands of readers. We've got thousands of people subscribed to the blog via email. We would profile your business as a Heyo customer, a new Heyo customer on the blog. I'll give you access to, I've got a live training set up just for everybody, Neal, who buys on this webinar because I really want to help them be successful. I think a lot of times people invest in a tool but they're not really sure how to get started. And even though I think Heyo is easy to use, I want to make sure it's really clear. So I've got a live training set up just for folks who buy today called How to Run a Successful Contest, and I'll give that to you guys next week. I've got a PDF guide called Picking the Right Prize. I think this is probably one of the things for a lot of people that they need help figuring out. So we've put together a really great little ebook. It's like a PDF guide that includes 11 high converting prize ideas that you can just copy or get inspiration from for your next social campaign. Neal, we've got this really great mastermind group on Facebook. It's basically all of the Heyo power users that are on this mastermind group. And it's really almost like having a second support community if you need help or advice or tips for your campaign. It's a great bunch of people. All of them are really savvy social media marketers, and it's a great group of folks to be associated with. So everybody who joins today will get access to that Facebook mastermind group. Also, a downloadable PDF of this slide deck I'm going to include as well as a free ebook called The Secret to Stunning Visual Content. We had Brooks, a writer on our team, put this together. Social media gets more and more visual all the time, especially as we get more mobile. Pictures and video are being made more and more prominent on every major social platform. It's really important to know what kind of pictures to take, how to structure your images to make them really appealing and stunning. And so that is what this ebook is all about. And then finally, I've got a free 30-minute video course called How to Discover Content the Newsfeed Loves. It's professionally produced, and it is completely free as part of this bonus package. So here's everything, Neal, on the left hand, everything that comes with Heyo regularly. On the right hand, all the bonuses I'm giving away. And as we roll into Q&A, I'm just going to share, this is all just $30 a month. It's just $30 a month. It's pay as you go. You can cancel anytime. You go to heyo.com/Neal, heyo.com/NEAL if you'd like to grab the special offer. Totally up to you guys. I want to share that this comes with a 30-day risk-free guarantee. So if you purchase today, you'll spend $30 today. And if in a week you're like, I changed my mind, just email us at support@heyo.com. We'll cancel your plan. We'll give you back your $30. And some of you are probably thinking, well, Chris, that's kind of dumb. Aren't you going to give us these bonuses? Like, I could just buy this today, cancel it in a week, get my $30 back, and keep all those free PDFs and the video training. Yeah, I suppose you could do that. But, I don't want to penalize people because I'm afraid, right? I think people are inherently good, and I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm willing to take that chance because I want people to be comfortable, like they know what they're getting into. So with that, I can do this for the next 10 people. Unfortunately, Neal, we do have like a fixed cost associated with producing the blog post and providing the live training. So I hope that's okay with you. I've got 10 of these at heyo.com/Neal. Again, you'd be signing up for just $30 a month. And with that, Neal, I think we can get into Q&A while people just kind of consider this. So folks, if you have any questions at all about anything that we shared today or about social media marketing in general, please go ahead and ask now. You can just pop your questions right in the GoToWebinar questions panel. And let's go ahead and we'll field those questions for you. So Neal, while we're waiting for folks to kind of have a moment to think about questions or maybe consider this offer, are there any questions that you've got or any other things you've been thinking about that you think would be good to share?
Yeah, I know. I mean, just something else to throw out. When you work with a tool company, and you know that I'm the co-founder of the Social Tool Summit, the value is not just the tool, but working with smart people that give you a lot of guidance. The folks at Heyo are some of the smartest people out there, and the resources, not just like the ebook, but that Facebook mastermind. They do a lot of educational webinars, put out a lot of content, and as you can hear from the webinar, they didn't need to give you the demo. You all asked for it. They're really about giving you information to help you do your work better, help you maximize your social, which is what I'm all about. So, I think at the end of the day, in order to trigger that engagement, campaigns are a necessary part of editorial calendars. I usually recommend my clients to actually try to do a different campaign on a monthly basis to shake things up. So at some point, you should have a campaign manager, a campaign tool as part of your social media tool arsenal. And if you don't, this is really a great opportunity. If you do, you really want to test if it's mobile optimized, if anybody in your department can create a campaign like you just saw. You don't need to, have a web person code it or a graphic person. Those are key things to consider. And yeah, I mean, I think you can tell from the tone of this webinar that, it's great working with Heyo. So I hope you'll at least try it out and take it for a test bin.
Cool. Thanks, Neal. I appreciate the vote of confidence. By the way, I hope you're happy with these bonuses that we put together. I wanted to share something that would be really relevant and really exciting and good for your audience. And so that's why we put these bonuses together today. So with that, let me see what questions we've got. And actually, let me see if I can get anybody else live to say hello. And again, remember, folks, if you've got questions, go ahead and pop them in the GoToWebinar questions panel. Go ahead and pop them in the GoToWebinar questions panel and let us know what questions you've got. So with that, let me go ahead and pose one question here, Neal. We've kind of talked about this funnel, this idea of nurturing folks from engagement all the way through to becoming a lead and then becoming a sale. How do you think about ads playing a role here? I mean, I know you're a really big proponent of doing, having a really smart social media advertising strategy. Would you recommend like promoting your social media campaign or contest through ads? Would you recommend promoting some of your content through ads? Let's maybe talk about that just a little bit. Like anything in particular you recommend as we consider ads as part of this strategy?
So I need to trademark this and put up a great graphic and start sending a quote around. But my newest quote that I talk about that gets retweeted a lot is, if social media is the amplifier, paid social is the accelerator. It will help you achieve those signups, the conversions, faster than you can organically. So it's a spigot, right? You always want to start just as Chris said, you start organically. But at some point, if you can't hit your goals, you're going to need to put the spigot on and add the paid. And like I said, it's all about hand-picking that audience you want and measuring it and trying to figure out, cost per conversion, cost per lead, cost per email address, and applying those metrics and continually optimizing. So I only work with clients that have a robust paid social budget, and I only work with clients that say we want to get X number of signups or X number of leads. Those are the smart companies that are really going to be able to measure and get great ROI from social. And yes, they will be able to generate revenue from engagement, especially through campaigns. So that's something to definitely consider. I mean, you should be, there's three different types of advertising that you should be doing at all times. I mean, the first one is just building the community, right? The likes. The second one is the engagement, the boosting posts to maintain mind share. And the third one are those targeted things that are going to send people to links, and a link inside Facebook is great, right?
Absolutely.
In the Facebook app. Send them to a link that's going to be a lead magnet that's somehow going to acquire their email address or bring them further into the funnel. And I think every company should be doing those three things, measuring them. You want to do, different ratios of how you do them, and you want to do the same on Twitter as well. And then you start getting some serious A/B testing, and you may say, wow, I thought Facebook ads were expensive, but they're way cheaper than Twitter, or I'm getting way better conversion on Twitter, even though it's expensive. My cost per conversion is way lower. I'm going to focus more on Twitter than Facebook, and you need to be able to compare and contrast. So that, in my opinion, is the zen of paid social, and that's what I implement and what I advise for all of my clients.
Love it. I love it. Let me just share something real quick, because I see one person saying, hey, I'm trying to sign up, but I can't figure it out. So here's what you do, folks. Take a look at my screen. You just go to heyo.com/NEAL/Neal. You push enter, and that'll take you right to the checkout page. And you've got two options. You can pay annually. If you pay up front, you get a little bit even more of a price break because you pay $300 for the whole year. Or you just click pay monthly right here, and it's $30 a month. You can choose either one. Okay, and then you just fill this little form out and then click complete registration. That's all you need to do. So for the folks that are trying to sign up, I just want to make sure that was really clear. All right, cool. So I want to say hi to somebody here who, one of the newest members of the Heyo family. Let me see if I can get Alan live real quick to say hello. Hey, Alan, I've unmuted you. Are you there?
I'm here.
Alan.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So I've got to ask, first of all, what did you think of the content today? And then second, why did you decide to go to heyo.com/Neal and grab this offer?
Well, first off, I went to the website right away because I didn't want to be number 11. Um,
Oh yeah, I better check and update that page. I'm glad you reminded me. No, go ahead, Alan. Yeah.
uh, no, it's my company is a B2B business. We do
Great.
organizational development training for typically large companies, but I've been looking for a way to more effectively use social media to reach out to not just the C-suite executives that we interact with, but to the people within the organization that have been touched by our seminars and our workshops and so forth. And so the stuff that you laid out here looked very straightforward and very logical, and the pricing seems incredibly reasonable.
Well, great. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. I really am passionate about this strategy and running these kinds of campaigns. And so my goal is just to simply make it as accessible as we can, right? And provide as much help as we can. So I'm thrilled to hear that. And I'm so glad you found the content valuable. That's like what we call table stakes, right? Like I come to a webinar like this ready to present. My number one goal is to be presenting information that is really helpful and relevant and actionable. And if nothing else, I always say smart marketers test. And if nothing else, I want you guys as an audience to feel like you can walk away from this webinar and you've got something new to try. You've got an actionable strategy that you can go out and put in test mode for your business and try it out. So, well, I'm just thrilled to hear that, Alan, and thanks again for joining up and welcome to the Heyo family.
Thank you. A pleasure to be a part of it.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks so much. So great. You've got a great audience, Neal. This has been really fun.
No, I'm really thankful for the community and the support they give me, and it gives me the incentive to give out more information and create more content. So it sort of has a great yin and yang to it. But yeah, and when I put my name behind something, it has to be practical, it has to be actionable. Always about getting more for less in social media. So I thank you for the collaboration today and providing some great content.
Awesome. That's great. Well, I tell you what, let me just check real quick and see if we've got any other questions. Okay, it says okay. So Christine, this is not really a question, just a comment. Christine says I'm not ready to sign up today, but I hope to give it a try soon. Thanks for the presentation; it was definitely helpful. Thanks, Christine. Thanks so much for joining us. Cool. So I tell you what. I this has been great, and we've got a lot of great people on. I'd love to maybe say hi to one other person, if that's okay, Neal, before we sign off. I want to say hi to Jerry Ann. Let's see if I can get Jerry Ann live here as well to say hello. Hey, Jerry Ann, we've unmuted you. Are you there?
Yes.
Jerry Ann, what did you think of the content today? How did you enjoy the webinar?
Well, believe it or not, I write rules and regulations and sweepstakes rules and contest rules for clients.
Really?
And and that's my business. And I was impressed with your presentation, and I learned something, which is amazing because I've been in the advertising marketing business for years, and the and my clients. In fact, there are certain companies that call me, and they are small companies, and trying to develop a website, and I am going to have them call you or contact you.
Oh, that's so kind. I really appreciate that. Yeah, if we can be helpful in any way for you and your clients, Jerry Ann, we'd certainly love to do that. But thanks so much for the kind words. I'm thrilled again that you got something out of it, and I believe that you're also signing up as well. So thank you so much for joining the Heyo family.
I am. I'm the only thing, I'm on a page where it says Halo pay annually $25 per month or whatever, and it's asking for a password. Do I have to put in a password?
You know what? I tell you what. If you message me in the GoToWebinar questions, if you go ahead and message your phone number, I'll call you right after the webinar, Jerry Ann, and I can help you that way. Okay?
Okay. Apparently, I'm on the wrong page.
No, that's okay. We'll help you get sorted out. I'll call you personally. It's no problem at all.
Okay, great.
All right, cool. Thanks so much, Jerry Ann. Well, Neal, I think we've got all the questions answered at this point. I don't see any new ones coming in. I just want to again thank you so much for putting this webinar together and being such a great partner. And thanks to everyone for joining. Again, I'm so glad that you were able to learn some new tactics and new strategies. And I think we'll see you next time. Neal, again, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and yeah, let's do it again. And in the meantime, feel free to reach out to Heyo or myself if you have any questions. And wherever you are in the world, make it a great social day.
Awesome. Thanks, Neal, and thanks to everyone for joining.
Thanks, Chris. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.